Yo, what's going on, people? Waiting on the guest. Hey, hey. Let's see where he is. Give a couple minutes for people to jump on. So I'm not sure if you guys saw, but hey, hey, what's going on, Ray and Meredith? Good to see you guys here. Hey, so I'm going to be doing lives to provide value, more value for you guys, and also to get to know just new people. So we have my man Bob should be coming in, and we're just gonna be having a conversation. All right, just have a conversation. Hopefully, it's valuable to you guys. I really appreciate everything. So super grateful right now. So now we're just waiting on Bobby to pop in. Where are you guys tuning in from? Let's start with that. Let's see, Washington State, Oregon, chiropractor in Brazil. Love it. London. Hey, I know it's late in London right now. I'm not sure what time. Let's see. I see you're here. He said he's here. Send request. I sent request. Go live. Hopefully hopping on. It says unable to join. Let's see. Send request. Technology. South Dakota. SoCal. NYC. London. It's 1:17. Wow. Well, I appreciate you being here. It's late. There
Yo,
he is.
what's up?
What's
How's it
going
going?
on, brother?
Living the dream, man. Living the dream. Staying alive,
Hey, love it, love it. That's the name of the game, right?
Pretty much. That seems to be the name of the game now. I guess just living in a police state, just the world is trash. You know how it is.
Wow, yeah, yeah. Man, so I really appreciate you hopping on. So I kind of gave you just a little synopsis of kind of what I want to do, just provide value. And someone literally tag you in a post that I did last night because I'm like, hey, where are the dope people at? Where are the people that's out there trying to save the world? That's trying, you know what I mean? Like this really creating an impact. And your name came up several times, so I wanted to reach out to you. I would definitely appreciate your time, your energy. You seem like you have a lot of energy, high energy, man. I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah. That's the name of the game. I always tell people I love going to concerts. I love live events. I love going to shows and stuff. And I went to hundreds of rap shows from the age of 14 to now in my 30s. And I remember thinking like I would buy a ticket and I'm here watching and there's thousands of people watching and these guys would come on and be like low energy and I'm like God, like it's like if you're gonna take my precious attention and you're gonna tell me to look at you, like bring the noise. So I try to always
Mm,
go up like absolute maximum every time, no matter what time of day. That's like the name of the game for me.
I absolutely love that because in practice, I'm a chiropractor. I'm not sure if you know. And me and my wife own a practice here in Greenville, South Carolina.
Nice.
If you're in, I feel like it's any business, honestly. So whatever energy that you bring to the office that day, right? That's the type of day that's going to occur.
Hmm.
So energy is everything. So I like to call it like the chief energy officer, right? So CEO. I think that's super important in that. So when we're talking about energy, is you say every single time, like, is there any time that you're like faking it until you're making it?
No, I think that even when I'm like, there's been a couple times where I scheduled a live for later in the day, for example, because the live is it's like, here I am. There's no cuts. It's just like, that's what it is. There's been a few times where I've kind of had a rough day and I scheduled a live and I'd walk into this office after sitting on the couch or whatever it was. And I'm like, and it's just like when I enter this room, because this is the office of my house. For my entire life, I always worked in my bedroom. There was no separation. But
Got
here,
you.
when I come into the lab, it's like it switches like an instant, and I'm like, it's time to show up. I can't be bringing this low energy into this place. Like I need to come in and show up. And interestingly enough, I feel the same way about the gym. It's like when you go to the gym and you really don't want to go, oftentimes those days end up being the days where you really crush it because you it's like you're proud of yourself for making it there, and somehow you just end up throwing down. It's really interesting how that works, but it's really just a mental game. It's like
Yes.
we beat ourselves up all the time, and if we could only be more cognizant of how we lose the battle and win the battle in our mind first and always, we would change the way we think about every situation.
Love it, man. Love it. It's all mindset. I'm a nerd when it comes to the mind, the brain, how it works. 'Cause I think it's important to understand how this thing works that we have, right?
Yeah.
Just like with anything, if we buy a new iPhone or buy some type of something new, we want to know how it works. So we should be want to know how it works so we can get the most out of it. And it's the same thing. It's no different from my brain.
No, absolutely. No, that's 100% true. It always blew my mind when people would tell me, like older people, they'd be like, I need a financial advisor. I need somebody to invest my money. And I'm like, so you mean the thing that you worked for tirelessly for your entire life? You're just going to be like, I don't understand it. I'm gonna give that power that I've been obtaining over this course of my life to someone because I don't know. It's kind of like a perfect analogy for how we don't pay attention to our own bodies. It's like we're out here solving the problems of the world or looking at her or him and being like, look at this person. It's like, what did you think about today? Have you been worrying about what's here, or are you worried about some far off and distant place? I feel like a lot of the times we miss that. And for a large part of my life, I don't think I even understood the severity of what's happening up here and how it affects everything that circles around me.
100%. So Bob, I had no idea where this conversation would go, but I love where it's going. And I'm glad you brought that up because I'm actually about to launch a program around that piece because I feel like it's going to be called Redline to Renewal. Because I feel like the world is running that red line right now. If you know anything about cars, if you're in red line, then you're about to blow some things up.
Yeah.
Right? And we're really stressed out. So I want to try to help people bring themselves back to their natural selves, which is our parasympathetic state where we're healing, we're resting, and we're at that natural state. We're not meant to live at this stressful state, like at a long time. That's supposed to be only for temporary use only. That's it. But now we turn the news. We're always in this just ramped up. It's ramped up. The energy is so crazy, man. It's so crazy. And kind of speaking to what you were saying about thinking about the future, past, like we're thinking about all these different things, but what about the now? Because the now is really that's all that exists. Like honestly, if you really think about it, future, past doesn't exist at all. It's all about the now and how can we be centered, right? Be centered in that. Yeah.
One of my favorite quotes is an unhurried sense of time is in itself a form of wealth. And I think about that often where it's like sometimes we confuse being busy with being productive. And we oftentimes think that if we just grind our way through, that's going to net us the greatest positive. And we have these objective measurements of return, like, oh, I made more money today or whatever. But what we fail to realize is what you made in money, you may have lost in health. What you made in money, you may have lost in social points. And there's a variety of other metrics to pay attention that are not just money. And as a person that's aware of money, it's certainly on the scorecard of life because it needs to be. But all of those other things that we forget when we don't take time to play or to exercise or to relax or to socialize, it's like you don't even realize what you're missing as you're obtaining something in one category without paying attention to the others.
Man, I love that. I absolutely love that. Bobby, I don't know if do you have kids?
No, not yet.
You don't have kids yet. Okay. But as you like just was explaining that, when you have kids and when you see them grow up, like if anyone out there has kids, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like when I talk about being present time consciousness, look at a kid. They're not
Right.
worried about anything else. They're literally worried about whatever they're doing in that moment. And I think that's where the happiness place is, right? Like you're saying, like we're kind of chasing this like carrot, I guess per se, of like when I get that, that's when I'm going to be happy. But if you look back at like as a kid, like we were happy, and we're just kids. We're big kids now. That's it.
Oh, right, exactly.
We're just big kids. So I think it's beneficial to get back to that place. Bobby, tell me a little bit about you, because I saw people ask about
So
you.
yeah, so I was a web developer. I wanted to be an entrepreneur since I was a young kid. I figured that the internet and building websites was going to be the path that got me there. I had my last job when I was 21. I decided I'm going to start my own web development business, never going to give up. As long as I keep going at it, keep getting better, it's going to work no matter what. Built websites and was an online marketing person, did some public speaking on online marketing, branding, and a variety of different things for 13 years. Made good money, but never really felt like I was using the magic beyond my hand-to-hand combat of building website after website.
Gotcha.
I always knew that being a thought leader or doing something that has real impact and purpose
Mm,
was in my heart. I just didn't know how I was going to activate it. I started making kind of funny videos, not necessarily political, about a year and a half ago, and people really started to enjoy them. So it's kind of like a social outlet. I started making funny videos about this house that I was building. Like, here's just a log, we got a window over here, we got a tube, we got a stick. And then eventually I made a video the first night of the DNC that was very like, is anybody seeing this political buffoonery? Like, this is the most ridiculous stuff I've ever seen. The video blew up overnight, got about 60,000 views. And
oh,
I just decided I'm going to spend my full time focusing on this to see if I could really turn it into a full-time job. And here we are 7 months later. I went from 1,000 followers to probably about 42,000 on Instagram, about
wow.
15 on Facebook, growing on YouTube, and it's my full-time job now.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy how like that happens, like how these things happen in life of like obviously we can have a plan, have things planned out. But I mean at the end of the day, whatever you believe in, universe, whatever it may be, is going to take you to like exactly where you need to go. Because I always say, I mean, like life is happening for us, right?
Yep.
A lot of time we like to say, oh, like why me? Like, no, like what you mean? Why me? Like life is happening for you. So I think if we just flip the perspective on that and like, okay, this happened for a reason. So let me try to dig in and try to find that reason why. So that's been like I would say it's been like one of my mottos my entire life of trying to like just trying to flip that. I think it's important.
Yeah, there's I never really was a very much of a book person because they always kind of put me to sleep. I always associated them with school and whatnot. But in the last 5 years, I've been really interested in audiobooks and listening to Audible. And I do it while I ride the bike, I'm on the elliptical, or I'm
Mm,
walking the dog or whatever. And I feel like it really elevates my life in lots of ways. And there was this book by Barbara Corcoran from Shark Tank. And she talks about how when she first got started in real estate, she would go into the room and she'd be the only woman in the room. And
gotcha.
when she entered the room thinking, I'm the only woman, these guys are gonna kick my ass. How am I can't compete in here. She would self-defeat herself and ruin the whole thing. She said when she started going in thinking, I deserve to be here. Like I made it here. There's a reason I'm here. This is not for any reason other than I deserve to be
Mm,
here. She started mopping the floor with them and ultimately became one of the highest paid real estate agents in New York, sold her business for over $60 million and left all those dudes in the dust. And it was just that type of mindset consistently and those little reminders that we get from other people and other people that have success that really kind of like set the foundation of how to think. I think that's the
mm,
thing that I try to get off to people is like, I'm not trying to tell you what to think. I'm trying to show you how to think. And I think that the how to think will solve many of the world's problems just in and of itself. What do we think about ourselves? How do we think about how we're handling what happens in our life? What are we allowing to be input? What are we saying out of our mouth and hearing ourselves say? And how do all of these small interconnected decisions really create our perspective on the world, because it's these small decisions and these small movements. I'm going to go here. I'm going to call this person. I'm going to spend time here. I'm going to go home. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm not. I'm going to eat this. I'm not. That really shape the entirety of our life, and they're all so interconnected that it only makes sense looking back. But if you're aware of that going forward, you can unlock everything that life really has to offer, I think.
Brother, speaking my language. You are speaking my language, because I know it sounds like you're familiar with just how the brain works, right? And if you really think about it, just go back to just evolution of time, is we as a human being are literally cheap human beings, right? So we're trying to reserve our energy, right? And now we have money, like all of our resources. That's just like something that's instilled in us. So it means that we have to take the path of least resistance to get there.
Yep.
Right. So I think it's just more so you're just saying we need to be more aware of that. Know, okay, this is where we come from, and we haven't evolved as much as what we think our technology has, but we haven't. We're still those humans beings, right?
Yeah.
And we haven't evolved that much. So that means that we still have that caveman or like ancestral that brain, right? The limbic brain. So more so of we like to automate things because that's going to make things more efficient, right? And as it seems like we can go day to day to day and not even know where the day went because we wasn't conscious of it, right?
Yep.
And then that can be from months, for years and years and years, and we're 40 years pass by and we're like, what the hell? What happened to my life?
Yep. No, absolutely. I went to be on this podcast, the Real AF podcast, with Andy Frisella in St. Louis about a month ago, and it was like being inside this guy's mind, being in his business, and it really it left like an indelible mark on my life, because it's like, here's a person that thinks a certain way and executes exactly as explained. It was like being inside his head. It was like being inside like Big Ben in the clock as you see things move.
Gotcha, yeah.
And one of the coolest things that I heard him say, or people say about him, is that he had a table where they write handwritten notes for every order that goes out of First Form. Thanks for the order. Hope you enjoy it. Let us know if you need anything, whatever. And I don't remember if it was him or his wife or from a podcast. I can't even remember because it all blurs together. But they said that the success is found in the inefficiencies, not in the efficiencies. And these little things, like an inefficient thing like handwriting a note, when you could just be ding, 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 printing them out and popping them up, adds that extra layer that is so human, that has such an impact that we can't even measure. And I think about that sometimes when I think about the inefficiencies of life, like just walking outside. And walking my dog is one of those things that no matter whatever I have, absolutely nothing will change. If I had $1 billion or $1, it's the same walk with the same dog on the same block. It might be nicer houses, it might be a little more peaceful, less cars going by, but generally speaking, the inefficiency of the walk is incredibly productive, and it would be the exact same thing whether I had attained every possible objective goal or what I am now. And it's little things like that that remind me that we're kind of already rich. We're kind of already a billionaire. And the thing is that if you have happiness and joy, balance and equilibrium with life, and just gratitude for being here, and you're executing and you're doing what you want and you're making progress, and like insert all of the steps that you and everyone on here is aware of. It's like, what's the difference between this and that? In reality, in theory, it's time, but really it's not that much. It's this objective dollar figure that we're like, well, if I had a blank. You know how many people have a $250,000 car that said that didn't get them there, that in a lot of ways wish that they were in the trenches like we are now? Barbara Corcoran said another really amazing quote that blew me up. And she said, people are so worried about the destination that they often forget that some of the best times in business is when it's two people in the office just banging their heads against the wall, grinding in the trenches together. She's like, those were some of the best times of my life. When I had hundreds of employees and a big fancy office and glass walls, and I sold the business for $66 million. She's like, the hustle was gone. The fire was, I had to find a new challenge. And I think that we oftentimes project about what will come, and we often forget what's operating right here. And that's why it's like, if you live feeling rich, you already have it. It's only a matter of time before you obtain all of those things.
Yes, yes, 100%. You, like you said, you have it, and it's there, and it's more so is when you're going to catch up with it, right? Because it's there, right? It's already there. You're always living it. And that's when they talk about manifestation is, that's really what they're talking about. Like, let's feel it right now. Like, what does it feel like to be in that space? But like to genuinely feel it, like be excited about it. And that's going to put you there. Right. So I absolutely love that. Man, I love that quote. You're talking about the inefficiencies. That's money right there. We do that in our office, but I just never looked at it through that lens. So I definitely appreciate that 100%. Like the small things, right? So like one thing in our office we do is for our patients that's showing up, positive attitude. They know the mission of what we're trying to create in our office, in our community, this healthy community, and they're referring people in, and like we reward them like, hey, you're doing a great job. So we're going to award you patient of the week. And then at the end of the month, we're going to pay for a night out for you. We're going to go to wine design, and we're going to paint, and we're going to sip and have a great time and appreciate you.
Yep. No, that's the thing is we forget about the true impact of that, and the gift that you have in your life is that you can implement that, and then you can measure the outcome of it by just seeing and being at the pulse of it every day. And people are moving and interacting with the office, and it's like you can almost just feel the vibe shift by just the simple fact of that. I remember when I used to take a ton of sales calls all the time, and whenever I was bumming out and really needed to make another sale or whatever else, the tone of voice that I used on the phone, because I'm in my office by myself, the tone of voice that I used on the phone would lead me to a sale or not, and I could measure it. It's like if I was kind of feeling through a phone call, I would rarely close. But when I was like, like generally interested, putting out the extra value, it was just like you could truly measure the increase in close rate that you would have by just those simple things. And as you obviously understand, because you're implementing it in your office, it's like that person, it's like you got that person for the rest of their life. It's like we oftentimes overlook the value of a single person and a single person's word. And we think that this mass of communication is going to be more valuable, when in reality, a single person could be a root to a far greater tree than we could even understand.
Yeah. And you never know. Like, you don't know what that looks like. And like how people find us, like by like this, they saw this, they heard from this, like it's crazy how it happens. And then when that person comes in, they refer their family member in. Like, you just never know like the impact that it creates in the office. And we're talking about experience right now, right? Of that customer experience. And that's pretty much what we're talking about is, and I always say that like the chiropractic adjustment doesn't happen on the table. The chiropractic adjustment happens when the patient comes in and they open the door to the office, because when they come in, they should feel the energy in that space that we've created. Right. So that's actually where the healing starts, when they literally go into the office. So I always say that.
It's interesting that you're a chiropractor. I generally don't like going to the doctor. I go to the doctor for regular checkups. I go to the dentist. I do all the normal things, but I generally don't like pills. I don't take Tylenol. I have no issues. I exercise regularly. I'm cognizant of all these things that are happening. But my favorite thing to do is go to the chiropractor. And I love that he's just like, I don't want you on any pills. I don't want you on any medicines. I don't want you on any meds. This is the body's natural movement. And he talks about how the spine is like, it's like this information superhighway where you're basically unlocking the dams in your spine and allowing the blood and other things to flow. And I'm just like, I don't have back pain. I sit in a computer desk my life, and I always had lower back pain. I went to the chiropractor, started going regularly, and changed my life. And it's like, I never took a pill. I never was in some type of mechanism, some type of contraption. It's like, it's a guy bending me this way. I love it so much, and I try to pass the word on to other people. Like, this is game changing. This is just This is what I would be doing if I was out picking berries and picking up bags of sand and doing other things, you know?
Yes, no, 100%. So I absolutely love that, man. And I get patients say it all the time. It's like, and that's something that we have in our values as an office is we want, when patients come in the door, we want like that experience to be the best part of the day. If we're not creating that, then we're not doing something right.
Yeah.
Right. And when I hear those things, that feedback from them, I'm like, oh, okay, then we are creating that. So who we're showing up as is being portrayed. They're feeling it. And it's just a wonderful thing to hear that. It's like look forward to come here. Like this, it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. It's funny. One of the ways that where I see the difference between, like, the objective difference between somebody that puts in that little piece and doesn't, and then the immediate reward, is when you get into an Uber. I think about this often. I get into an Uber. You notice when an Uber smells nice. You notice when the Uber has a water for you or a candy for you. And it always blows my mind that people will drive Uber, complain about how they're not getting paid enough for Uber, even though they're still driving for Uber, but don't take the time to buy a 20-cent water bottle that would ultimately return them a $3 to $4 tip, or a 30% higher tip as a result. If I drink a bottle of water from you, I'm going to give you 4 to 5 times the value of that water, just pure and simple. Even if I don't like you, I'll still do it because of the value exchange of the water being present, or a mint or something stupid. It's like, for 25 cents, even if it was $1, for you to earn 5, it always just blows my mind that people are so unaware of how these very small inputs affect people in such a profound way. And in your office, it's like the same thing. It's like, I can just see, it's like, you got a cool paint color. It's like, it's warm. It's that nice things on the wall. The cushions are comfortable. Hey, how's it going? Thanks for being here. A smile. I mean, those little things make such a difference, and they change the way that we look at life. So kudos to you for doing that and being aware of it. And obviously it's working and people are noticing.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's, I would say probably a lot of it is we've kind of lost the, not kind of like the human connection. And I'm big on human connection. I love people, man. Like genuinely just love getting to know people, because everyone has a story, and we can all learn something from each other. And because I think we're all interconnected in a way. And I think when we're able to show another human being that, hey, like, I see you, like, I get you, I understand you, because they're not getting that anywhere else. So that's why I say, like, and another one of our values is we love on them, right? Like, you're family. Like, if you're going to take this journey with us, like, you're my family.
Yeah.
100%. And I'm going to treat you like family. That means I'm going to love on you. But also, if you're not showing up, I'm also going to get on to you and hold you accountable for that. Right? Yeah. So it goes both ways in that.
Yeah, and you have one of those things where it's people almost need to come back just because they need to. So the fact that you're going the extra step to make that extra beneficial, it's like, it becomes, instead of a chore or a task. So it's kind of like, oh, nice. Like, I'm about to pop in there. I'm going to get, people are going to, hey, everybody knows your name type of thing. I mean, that's a great thing. And I have good conversations with my chiropractor too. And it's like, no matter what, I'm going there. I need to go. So it's like the fact that it's just kind of like an add-on to a thing that I have to kind of do anyways, like going to the grocery store, is really nice. And it's like, the guy knows my life, and that's an important exchange. And it's like, even if, and it's like, your hands are on the person. It's like, that's a real thing. It's very personal. So it's good to know that. And I'm sure your clients are thrilled. That's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, brother. So how have you've kind of like navigated through this whole year? It's been a very interesting time. So how have you like kind of navigated through that personally? Because we kind of talked about the stress and how people are like in their living redline essentially. What about you? How have you navigated that?
I was fairly convinced that it would be a short-term thing at the beginning.
Gotcha.
And in a way, I looked at it as kind of like almost like what is it called when the sand is running out of the time?
Hourglass.
Yeah, it's like an
Yeah,
hourglass.
yeah,
And I
hourglass.
remember thinking to myself, I have 90 days of uninterrupted time
Mm-hmm.
that I can either use to progress and rocket ship out of this, or I can sit around and I can digress. And it's like I can't go to the gym. I can't see
Mm-hmm.
the people that I want to see. I can't have all these interactions. I can't go to music festivals, which I love. I can't go dance with people and socialize. And I remember just thinking, this is the ultimate test in a lot of ways. It's like,
Mm.
will you let this defeat you, or will you come out on the other end with something greater? And I remember I saw this meme very early on when everything just got started last March, and it was something like, if you don't come out of this quarantine with a new skill, then it wasn't that you didn't have time, it was that you were lazy. And I
Yeah.
remember thinking to myself, what am I going to come out of here with? What am I going to rocket ship into the reopening with? What can I change in my immediate surroundings that will output me positivity when we come out of this, because it's going to happen. So I started looking at, quite literally, the things closest to me. I'm
Gotcha.
like, I don't like the paint in here. Let's paint. I'm going to paint the walls. I don't like this door. I'm going to get a new door. I don't like, there's no window coverings, or I got old blinds. I'm going to get new blinds. I was just like, looking at my house like I was playing The Sims, and I'm just like, change the door, new
Yeah.
shower curtain. I'm going to get new sheets. I'm going to get a new pillow. And I just started making these very small changes so that every day I had a win. It was like, oh,
Mm.
new shower curtain, throw this thing out, boom. All right, I painted this room. Oh, it feels so much better in here. Let me paint the other room. And now let me paint the other room. It's like, in the front yard, I had wanted grass for the longest time, and the only way
Yeah.
to get it here in Florida is to get sod and sprinklers. So I'm
Gotcha.
like, all right, I'm getting the sod, I'm getting the sprinklers, I'm about to plunk down $5,000. I need a new sidewalk. My dad and I hammered out this sidewalk, and we laid a concrete sidewalk, me and my pops. And it's like these little things that they just change the way that you feel about life. And it
Mm-hmm.
was these small incremental improvements that made me feel like I was really cooking and really
Mm.
gaining. And as the goalposts kept shifting and the can kept getting kicked further down the road, I just kept thinking to myself, all right, I got an extension. What else? What else? What else? What else can I do?
Gotcha.
I'm gonna build a home gym. I'm gonna really grind out on my work. I'm gonna find new ways to leave this up versus down. And that was something that I really leaned into. And also, I think I became a lot more cognizant of my thoughts, because when you're by yourself or with a small group of people, it's like all you really have is each other. All you really have is yourself. And it kind of makes you realize, I have to be able to produce my own happiness. I have to
Mm-hmm.
be able to produce my own motivation. And I was lucky I had a girlfriend at the very beginning, and
Yeah.
I wasn't just sitting here by myself. And it was
Gotcha.
like, I was so thankful that I still had interaction, and I was able to continue learning and moving forward. It's like we weren't just sitting on the couch. So I used it as an advancement opportunity, and I tried to look at it that way from the very beginning.
Wow. No, I absolutely love that, man. Because you could have easily just been in the house and just watching news, been living in fear, like all these things that's not beneficial to us,
Yep.
right? We could have been doing that, and you just decide to, like, hey, like how can I flip this on its head, and it seemed like that's what you did. That's amazing, man. It's really good to hear.
Yeah. It's almost like you realize how much you have to self-sustain throughout life, because it's like having a rainy day fund. For the longest time leading up to this, I had money set aside as a rainy day. And there
Mm,
was a lot of times where I would think to myself, you should buy a new car or and like there was a million times I thought of that, and I'm like, it's a rainy day fund, dude. It's you gotta just have faith that you're smart enough about how to manage your money, that there's a purpose for this. And when it came, I was like, there it is. I'm not scrambling now. Now it's like I have cash in the bank. I'll be fine. And that peace of mind that gave me, because I had the foresight to prepare, was an analogy for life in so many ways. I forget what the exact quote is, but there's that quote where it's just like, when an opportunity presents itself, if you start preparing, you're already too late. It's like we have to prepare ourselves to seize opportunities when they come. And I knew that throughout this very irregular, never before seen time in theory, human history. I
Yeah.
knew that on the other end of it, there was going to be a way to leap forward. And it's like,
Yes.
when everybody pulls back, oftentimes you have to lean in. And I always try to be the opposite of the way that the crowd goes. So I kept thinking to myself, what is the opposite of what I inherently want to do right now? And that's probably what I should do. And that rings true kind of throughout life, not even just through this.
Yes, no. You're spot on, man. And I always say, I mean, when obviously we can call this adversity, but also when adversity pulls up, opportunity comes, is rolling right with it,
For
right?
sure.
So it's either like, which one do you see, right? And kind of, and the thing about it is more so like I said, the life is happening for us, and not to us. So I think that's an important piece to understand and really own that piece. Because now we can start responding to life, right? Opposed to reacting, right?
Exactly.
Opposed to like just this subconscious thinking. But now we can actually kind of step back and be an observer and like, okay, like this is what's going on. And now we can critically think, use our prefrontal cortex where we actually do our thinking at. And now we can move differently and respond differently to these so-called stresses or adversity. And that's what I've been seeing this entire year, a little over a year now,
Yeah.
of how people are responding and how people are reacting.
Yep.
That's putting them where they are in this space right now, as we speak.
Yeah. It reminds me of, I was talking with my friend Aaron the other day, and we were talking about failures in business. And he was almost like, he's like, I kind of look for the failures. I almost look forward to them because it helps me see where the weak point is. And it's that there is the opportunity to grow. And I try to remember that when I'm down, because generally speaking, we understand that life is a vibration. It goes up and
Yeah.
it goes down just like a wave. The thing is that it always goes back up. And it inevitably always goes back down. So being able to navigate the ups and the downs and almost figure out how to keep it more in the middle so that you're not violently swinging from top to bottom is how we kind of stay in that kind of yin yang of life. And I think about sometimes whenever I'm on a downswing, I'm like, all right, where's the lesson? Where's the lesson?
Yeah. Looking like
It's like I got the binoculars. I'm like, where's the lesson at? Because it's always there. And it's like when you hit that low point, the way that I refer to is it's kind of like being in a pool. When you sink to the bottom, you could either sink to the bottom and thud to the bottom, or you could bend your knees and crunch down and then rocket ship out of there. And it's like if you know that that's where you're going, it's like you might as well land geared up and ready to pop. And so it's like now I embrace the downs because it's like you know that you're about to have a swing up. And also, I feel like the greatest leaps forward in life oftentimes come on the heels of great failures. So it's almost like if you're not failing, you almost have to wonder if you're not taking enough risk.
That's 100%, man. 100%. I think, and I like to look at it like, as far as if we're progressing, right, there should be some resistance, right? If we're running, you're going to feel the resistance, right? If you're in a car, you're going to feel the resistance to win. And if you're not feeling that, pretty much what you're saying, then we must not be going fast enough.
Right.
We don't feel that, right?
No, exactly.
Or we're not going forward at all. So I absolutely love that. Seriously. And then even with the failures, like you said, it's more of a win than anything. The way you look at it, because failure is just pretty much an opportunity waiting to be acknowledged. That's it. That's it. Which is huge, man. I think that was pretty much it. Any questions, anything that you wanted to like touch on? Things have been super.
I think the last thing that I would say is that it's kind of like when you feel that soreness in your legs or your arms or your back after really pushing it at the gym, you understand that the pain is the healing, which is in and of itself the growth. And that's the lesson for life, is that if you're not sore, you didn't push hard enough, which means you're really not growing, which means you might be stagnating. And then it's not just muscles, it's really all things. It's your mind and everything. So it just reminds you that the pushing hard in the gym is akin to the risk taking, is akin to the risks with finances, the risks with social movements, the risks with how you choose to think about whether or not you have what it takes to achieve that goal, whether or not the goal is high enough, whether or not you're strategizing on what you really are capable of achieving. And I think that the one of many pieces of wisdom that I try to, or pieces of whatever perspective that I try to give people, is just to understand the untapped power that we really have, and recognize that there's a guy or a gal down the street that has a $25 million house that has the same 24 hours as you, and they have they got to eat breakfast and eat lunch, and they got to worry about getting sick, and they have to worry about the dog, and they have to worry about their mom and their dad, or their sister or their brother, or their cousin or their friend, or their business or their whatever. They got to change the oil in their car just the same as you. And if we could all just understand that seeing great success and seeing things should be a reminder of what is possible, not something to be envied or something to be mad about. And if we could understand that we all have the ability to obtain tremendous greatness, and that it would hopefully change more people's minds. There's plenty to go around. Everybody can. That's the beauty of this world, is that it's consistently expanding, not only objectively, but financially, population, every single thing. It's a constant expansion and growth. And if we could only understand the power of our thoughts and the ability of those individual thoughts to influence the decisions that we make to lead us to the next place, where if we consistently challenge ourselves and persevere forward, the world changes. Just like that, all things change. You want to change the world, that's the game. That's the lesson. That's what I think about all the time, and that's what I would want to say to anyone.
I love it. I love it, man. Man, because if you're thinking about, you talking about humanity as big thing, right? I like to look at humanity as like a body, right? And then if in the body we have these cells, right? And cells, they don't live forever, right? They live for a certain amount of days and they die. And then we regenerate some more cells. The same thing is happening as humanity, right? As human beings, and as a part of humanity, we are the cells. We contribute to the bigger thing, which is the body, humanity, right? So it can continue to evolve and continue to grow. And we've made that contribution. And I always ask, like, how are you contributing to humanity? And that's a question we all need to ask ourselves.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I did a pretty long live stream last night where I was talking about that, and it's like the best thing that you can do is take care of yourself and make sure that your operation is running full steam. And then all of the other things become so much more accessible, and the influence that you can have and all of the tremendous things that we're capable of doing are essentially impossible without simply handling that first. So it's not a okay, it's handled. It's a constant everyday habit, kind of like, it's like, here's a newsflash. You need to exercise every day for the rest of your life.
For the rest of your life, like, hands down.
That's it. I remember when I first got my gym membership. It was like 7 or 8 years ago, and I remember just thinking, well, how long should I get this membership? And I'm like, well, that's the wrong way of looking at this. I'm like, forever. Like, that's the thing. There is no end point, and such is the game of our mind. It's like, as soon as you stop going, you start losing it, and you
start losing it.
If we could only understand to just bring the noise as much as we can while we have the opportunity to, so many of the world's problems would solve themselves just from that simple fact alone. So that's the message I'm going to put out, and I think that you're obviously doing the same.
Yeah, 100%. That's been my message through all of this, is taking responsibility for your health. That's been my lane. But because I understand, you take responsibility for your health, then, like you just said, these other aspects of life, like, we have access to them. Now, if we're good, now we can be able to contribute, like I just said, to humanity. But it's when we're not healthy, that's when we're no good. Right. And I've said, if we want to save lives, we need to take responsibility for our health. Right. That's how we save lives. That's how we contribute to humanity. And I'm keeping that with me to the grave. Right. It's taking responsibility for yourself.
Yep.
Um,
Absolutely. That's the message. That's the most important message, that it surprises me that folks like us need to say, and people are like, wow, that's sick. And it's just like, yeah, like how do I not hear this every day of my life? It's like, where were all the, and it's not that they didn't give us value, but come on. It's like, I never went to school and they were never like, let's do some yoga. Let's take some time to just think or something. It's like, that's the thing that frustrates me so much about all this political stuff, is that those schools are bad because they're in this structure that is not built for them to succeed. And when you really start to draw back to why is this like this? It's because everybody's blinders are up about these policies that ultimately influence the future of humanity,
yeah.
how people eat, how they think, how they act, who they know, what they do, what they work for, what they strive for. It's like all of the problems are so easy to map back when we realize that we start doing the wrong thing straight out of the gate. It's like, memorize these dates, memorize a palindrome. It's like, why didn't you tell me how to do laundry? Why didn't you tell me how to manage a bank account? Why didn't you tell me about my credit score? And instead of us just sitting here and railing on why the world sucks, the only thing that we can do, what we need to do, is raise awareness to it, speak about it, contribute in the best ways that we can, spread the message, and turn this ship around, because ultimately all of the greatest things that have ever happened in humanity have come at a time where it's like, that is impossible. Don't do that. You'll never succeed at that. And yet the greatest developments that have ever come in the history of time have come from someone that was like, nah, I'm not. So is that us? It certainly could be. So we have to think that way.
No, 100%. I love it, brother. Man, I definitely appreciate your time, man. Honestly, it's good to converse with you, get to know you a little bit, and just continue shedding light, man. Like you're awesome. I love the energy, and I just wish the best for you, whatever that may look like. And guys, if you're not following Bobby, please follow Bobby. All right, please.
Likewise. Thank you for your time. And here's the thing. This is what I love about this, is that you created the opportunity for this to happen. You made a mental decision to ask for people, and you created this. And it was purely a thought in your mind. And here it is now, providing value for hundreds of people, thousands of people, because you just were sitting there a couple days ago or yesterday thinking, what could I do? That's the thing. Is like, now I'm going to take this, when you post the video, I'm going to save it down. I'm going to put it on my YouTube, put it on my Facebook. It'll get seen thousands of times on either one. Someone will hit them the right way. They'll change the way that they think. It'll ripple through the fabric of society. And where did it begin? In your head as one thought, and just like that, it's like this explosion. If we could all only be as proactive as you were enabling this to happen, again, it's like, it's all malleable. We have it, but you took the initiative, you saw it, you got the message, you sent me the message. I love that. You created this. So kudos to you, and kudos to everybody that listens and gets value. And I appreciate your time, and thanks for reaching out. I really appreciate it. It sets a good example for me as well.
Awesome, brother. Appreciate you, man. Have a good night.
You as well. See you, man.
All right. See you.
Bye.